how can these, let's say, nuances of emotions and feelings be leveraged for strategic communications interventions? And how, let's say, should we expand the vocabulary? Can these affect the work of those public authorities or law enforcement that are developing risk indicators, for example?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I think one of the main takeaways would be to understand, like I said, developing really a more sophisticated vocabulary around emotions, and understanding also that with certain type of emotions, you have different psychological behavioral responses. And so combinations of different emotions can lead to specific type of responses. So if you understand how those emotions actually function, you can, for example, if you are in crisis communication and we're dealing with a crisis, you'll have emotions of fear and anger that will really, kind of drive the emotional public or collective space. Then it becomes as part of the strategic communication of the government to understand how can we mitigate those emotions so they don't escalate into more antisocial behavior, for example. So how do we transform negative emotional mappings into more positive emotional mapping? So to do that, you do need to understand, first of all, what is your emotional landscape, what it is that you're dealing out there, to understand how those emotions function. So this is why I was saying taking stock of those emotions, the intensity of the different emotions, and then what kind of types of responses that usually emotions trigger. I also think that we have this tendency of too quickly talking about bad or good emotions. There is no such thing as good or bad emotions. Emotions are emotions, and emotions are just a piece of information telling you something about your current state or about a need. So I use, emotional intelligence when I do, as a practitioner, I do coaching and exit work. We look at how can we really support individuals to better manage their emotions so that it doesn't lead to antisocial behavior. So that's kind of at the individual level. But then if you kind of cross over at the community level, the local level, local municipality or government level, and then at the national government, there is a part for emotions to be integrated into that. But it's really understanding, as I said before, what makes you tick and talk. So those emotions are really, are really crucial. It's not the holy grail. It doesn't explain everything, but I do think that in the current environment where it is more emotionally driven than rationally driven, we need to pay more attention to those emotions and not dismiss them, and to understand how can we actually integrate them in our work and in our responses to ensure that we do strengthen social cohesion, we do not cause further harm or fuel polarization, and then we strengthen our democracies. So really, it's I think it's still quite a novel field in terms of understand. Emotional intelligence has been around for quite many decades now, but it's also looking at how can we integrate that more into our institutions to have more, building a more institutional emotional intelligence thinking, and then how do we apply that into institutional strategic communication.